Hi, you guys. Good evening, or sorry, wood evening. Hello, hello. Hi, Anne. Hi, Iwan. Hello. Hope you guys are doing okay. First of all, is the music okay, or is it too loud? I had a very concerning dream, and I had a very weird dream, and I don't really know if I can talk about it. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Is that okay? Is that okay? Ooh. Ugh, ugh. I have a cup of tea just in case. Um, okay, so like first of all, I woke up sick, and so if you hear me sniffling, that's why. But it's just like remember how yesterday I also said that I woke up sick, so it's like I might be sniffling on stream. So this is um so like the past couple of weeks have been very rainy. Like it's been getting colder and colder over here. I don't know if it's getting hotter over there, but yeah, over here it's been getting cold, and it's like I'd go to bed like fully dressed. Like I'd wear like a shirt and like pajama pants, and then when I wake up, I've like taken off the pajama pants because like I guess I got too hot while I was sleeping, and then so when I wake up, I'm like freezing already because like the mornings are really cold for me, so that's why I get sick. And it's like how do I just keep the pants from staying from getting off me? Do I have to like start like using like the drawstring? I never use the drawstring. Like I always like just keep it loose because I feel like the garter waistband is enough to keep it on. But like now it's like it has to work as like a locking mechanism now. I have to keep myself trapped in. Also, I just realized I forgot to tweet out an hour ago that I was going to stream. I overslept, and then I kind of forgot that I do that. I woke up like maybe like about half an hour before I was supposed to stream, and then I was like half asleep, so I kind of forgot that I do that sort of thing. My bad, my bad. Yeah, no, I forgot completely. Yeah, it was a combination of both. I overslept and I forgot to set the scheduled post, so I should have done that when I rescheduled the first time. But yeah, no, it's like Crunchy says hi. Oh, I should open up Twitch. Hi, Crunchy. Let me refresh Twitch first. Da, 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 da. Yeah, it was like I kind of I miscalculated, um, and turns out I am sick actually. Yeah. I hope it's not too much of a problem. Hello, welcome, welcome. Hope you're doing okay. But hi. Ooh, another Knox. But yeah, no, it's like I am a little sick. Please excuse me while I just like deafen your ears with my sniffles. I have tea with me though, so hopefully that'll warm me up this evening, morning. But yeah, no. Anyways, so hi, Moral, welcome, welcome. Wait, I'm so tempted to greet you like, "Nyaharo, konnichiwa." Anyways, love the model, by the way, my guy. It's a very cool model. I was thinking of having something like that, but then everyone would call me a furry again. But anyways, yes. To recover later. Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, oh, I kind of want some like booze, but people are like, no, don't drink booze when you're sick. And then I was just thinking about that Portuguese girl that told me that there's like that home remedy. I talked about it during my debut stream actually. She mentioned how how she would like take a shot of vodka or something like that, vodka or tequila, and then right after, like a teaspoon of honey. And instead of doing that, I just drank a lot of soju, which is not the same thing apparently. I kept telling her, I was like, okay, if a shot of vodka would work, surely several shots of soju would work faster. So 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 I didn't get cured, but I did get drunk. um but yeah, anyways, so about the movies. I've been watching a bunch of like old movies recently. Well, not like old, but like old compared to, let's say, like Oppenheimer, old compared to the Spider Verse. Like, stuff from like the early 2000s, maybe stuff from the 80s or 90s, something like that. So old in by today's, in today's context. Um, you watched The Shining recently and such? Yeah, I've been watching a bunch of old movies because like my friends do not like whenever my friends will talk about like the movies that they like, and I'm just like, they always say stuff like oh, like I was like I really love like this movie, like you've seen it, right? And I'm just like, no, I haven't, I've heard of it. And they're just like, okay, we're watching it. The way my friends try to correct me though. Hi Kashi, good morning. Hi. But yeah, no, my friends are always trying to correct me. They're like, oh, we have to rectify the situation. You haven't seen Top Gun? You have to see it now. We're watching it together. It's my favorite movie. You need to see it. I'm just saying, I'm sorry. Listen, here's the thing. My parents love watching action films, right? Their favorite actor is literally Tom Cruise, to the point where my dad has a framed photo of Tom Cruise on his bedside table. So he watches a lot of Tom Cruise films. It's just that it's just that I personally I just watch whatever is playing on TV. I don't necessarily seek Tom Cruise films out, because at the time I was still kind of too young to care about action films. It's just kind of like one of those things when, like when you're just chilling in the living room and your parents are watching a movie. It may or may not be for kids, and you're just like, well, they're not getting mad at me for being here, so I'll just chill. I'll just sit down. Something to watch. I have a friend who hasn't watched a lot of classics as well as what. Oh, I haven't fully seen like the first Terminator movie. I did see the one. I think it was the third film that I watched. Um, was that the one with John Connor where he was like an adult? I think that was the one I watched, but I haven't seen like the first film. So that might be something that, oh, maybe I could just do that. Ask you guys like for recommendations, and then we'll just basically see which movies I have or haven't seen yet. I need a piece of paper. Cause like my notepad is. Oh wait, no, I have the power of a computer, but I like a notepad. I'm writing this down because I am a silly person who will forget these things. Okay, The Terminator 1 and 2. I've seen Lord of the Rings. That's something a lot of people thought was so interesting. Is that in Star Trek, I've seen The Lord of the Rings, I've seen Star Wars, and I'm just like, yeah, I haven't seen a lot of classics. That doesn't mean I haven't seen any classics, because here's the thing: as someone who did get into um, s- uh, D&D, I felt like I had to watch Lord of the Rings, and it was okay. I can't really say which movie was my favorite because it's been so long since I've actually seen a film, so I can't really tell which is which anymore. I'm just like, I know the names of the movies, I just can't remember which movie has what scene. It was one of those things where it's like I saw only one time many years ago, just to get it over with, and then I kind of forgot all the details. um, and then something like something like Star Wars. that was something that my friend wanted to correct me on as well. Because I remember at the start of the pandemic, like the very first year, I remember I was just kind of they were talking about Star Wars and how much they really like Star Wars, and I was talking about how I've only really seen like the first six movies. I haven't seen a single new movie at the time. I haven't seen any of the series, and I just remember them being so offended by this. So they immediately were like, okay, we're watching all the new movies together, even if they're bad, and we're watching all of Clone Wars, like the series, and then oh my god, I fell in love with while the new movies were kind of bad, aside from Rogue One. I did like Rogue One. I cried at the end of Rogue One. We did end up binge watching Clone Wars, and that was fun. That was really good. What I really like about Clone Wars is their ability to kind of make you care about side characters and random clone characters that you've only seen for like one episode. They make you care about these guys and then they kill them off. It's kind of crazy. So I really like that style of making. I've never seen anything like that before, where they actually give a shit about like these random characters. They could have just kept it as like, oh, let's just follow the story of Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka, and then nobody else. We don't even see like General Grievous that often, you know. So I thought that was very interesting. But yeah, no, it's like they actually make you care about characters, which kind of it it changed the way that I saw story writing. Like I remember just thinking about like how that could improve my way of writing stories. I don't write stories that much anymore, but like I used to write a bunch original stories, and then I got into fan fiction writing, and then I went back to story writing. I just it's one of those things where it's like, it's like at the time it just helped me. It wasn't really supposed to be like something that I posted online. Um, but yeah, this is a salvageable movie. Yeah, I know. Oh, hi gamers. Hello, hello, welcome. How are you? Hope you're doing okay. But yeah, no, it's like I watched all of Clone Wars, and then after that, we watched The Bad Batch. If you haven't heard of that, it's basically a spin off series from the Clone Wars, because right after Clone Wars, we tried watching like the Disney XD TV show, which was Star Wars Rebels, and it kind of bothered me because it's what I expected Clone Wars to be, actually, where it was like a very child friendly type of show where it was like following an ensemble cast, and then that was it. They had like plot armor all the time. Nobody was gonna die. No one was ever going to be in any danger, because like it just kind of worked as a non-linear slice of life kind of a thing, where there's like some sort of overarching plot, but it's not the same as like something like Star Wars, Clone Wars, where there's like a very clear story and everything is like leading up to like Order 66, which is to catch up with the movies, which I thought was very interesting. But no, yeah, it was like the Bad Batch is really cool. It's basically what I expected from Clone Wars after seeing it. It's like, okay, so if Rebels is like a very child friendly like slice of life, and Clone Wars was a bit more linear and a bit more serious, the Bad Batch was kind of like a cross between those two. It's like you have like an ensemble cast of characters, so you don't have to remember so many people's names, and you also have like overarching plots, and you have the serious tone of a lot of their episodes, which I really really like. I Yeah, no, it's like I remembered how sad I was when I heard that they didn't consider Clone Wars as part of canon, and then I was like, wait, is that true? So I looked it up. They didn't mean like this TV series, like the animated series. They mean um this other Clone Wars series, which I didn't know about. Like there is a difference. There's two different Clone Wars series. They meant like the older one. That one isn't canon, but the actual Clone Wars series that everyone knows and loves, that one is canon. And I was like, oh, thank God, that was like literally like the best Star Wars thing that they've ever come out with. Like if they made it non-canon, that would be so dumb. Because there's a lot of things they shouldn't make canon, but that is not one of them. But yeah, no, it's like I really liked Star Wars in that era, and that's why I kind of got sad when they were trying so hard to make the live action stuff kind of match the tone. I will say this. I will say this though. I think what they're trying to do with the live action series is admirable, but they're doing it poorly. It's like if you've noticed, like stuff like Andor, stuff um uh like the Bad Batch, stuff like Rogue One, where it has nothing to do with like the main plot of Star Wars, and you don't really have like all these callbacks to characters we've seen many times before in the original content. If you have like those types of things be deemed as like, you know, some of the best Star Wars content, there's a theme there. It's because they're not so worried about um staying true to certain characters. They're not worried about canon lore, because I'm gonna be honest, a lot of the new Star Wars writers don't remember the canon lore. It kind of bothers me a lot. Hi, Jazak. Hello, welcome. Good evening. I think a lot of oh, San Diego TwitchCon. Um, I think a lot of the the newer series and newer movies that are trying to incorporate the canon lore of Star Wars, they fail because I mean like how hard is it if you're like a writer for Star Wars? How hard is it to just go back and watch the movies, you know, just to make sure things line up? Because they're changing a lot of stuff, and we're just like, wait, hang on a second. How could this character be here if he wasn't even born yet? You know, it's like that kind of a thing. So it's like their timelines are all fucked up. The lore is all fucked up, and so like the only salvageable stories in Star Wars are the ones where it's like the original stories, and also like the stuff that has nothing to do with canon lore. So I still haven't watched Andor actually, but I do hear really good things about it. Um, which is the opposite of what people have said about the acolyte, because again, like I said, trying to reframe lore when you haven't seen like the old movies in a while, it's kind of a bad deal. It's kind of that's a bad idea. It's like, I mean, if you're going to be writing sequels, maybe check out the original content, you know, just to see if someone's covered that. Like how hard is it just to go back and check the wiki pages? Like until we want it to be canon. Oh yeah, no, for sure. It's like I don't know, he's being goofy. He's being strange about that. But yeah, no, it's like I think it's not that difficult to go back and watch the original content or to check out the fan wikis just to make sure that everything lines up. You know, because as a fan, it is frustrating because it's like I don't want to have to be confused while watching a sequel to something. It's like imagine if they wrote like, you know, like I haven't seen the first movies in a while, and I haven't really like watched all of them, but like I've seen the third one like at least twice. So imagine if like they have that whole storyline with John Connor, but it's like in the original movies, John Connor dies before the end of the film. You know, it's like it wouldn't make sense. You're like, okay, is this an opposite timeline, or is this like are we just forgetting that he died? You know, real slow burner though. Oh, I okay. Thanks for warning me. I liked Mandalorian. It was just some guy going through a dad arc. You know, that's what a lot of these Star Wars films are. I've noticed. It's like ever since Anakin, ever since Obi Wan. You know, every one of these guys just goes through some sort of dad arc. Hi Izzy, welcome. I hope you're doing okay. But yeah, no, it's like I am still trying to check out Andor and also check out the Bad Batch season 2. I have not seen Ahsoka and I have not seen the Acolyte. Um, did I finish Kenobi? I think I did, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. Was I like was I asleep? I don't even remember if I finished Kenobi. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, Kenobi is Kenobi. I like Kenobi. I'm glad that Ewan McGregor reprised his role. So I do like that. I always like it when they do some stuff like that. It's really good for the fans. And here's the thing: I don't care if they want to put like fan service in shows. Like, sure, like bring out a character in a cool way. Let me hype this shit up. You know, it's like when Kenobi had to fight Darth Vader. That was like really cool. I was like I was like yelling in my seat. I was so excited. And the fact that I can't remember the ending, I'm just like, did I even watch the show? Like, did I finish it? Like, that's okay, I win. That's okay. But yeah, no, it's just one of those things where it's like if you're gonna write a story with such a big franchise name attached to it, it's like a household name, right? Star Wars, just like the Lord of the Rings. Make sure you know what the canon is, the canon lore is. It doesn't matter if you fuck up the names or something, but it's like it's kind of a big deal if you mess up the canon lore because all you're really doing is confusing the audience. It's like, okay, I thought this character died. How is he still alive here? You know, it's um can I try to riz you up? You should have been here when I had that type of stream last time. I literally had a riz me challenge stream. Oh man, riz or cringe. Okay, fine. You can try just because you asked nicely. Okay, I'll let you try during the commercial break because Iwan's Twitch restream is still kind of brokey. Ah, thank you, thank you. Okay, okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's a lot better than what I try to do. I usually just go for the sexual harassment route. I like to call it sexual harassment. Um, yeah, the restream is back. Thank you, Iwan. Thank you. Anyways, so so speaking of old movies, right? Did you? Okay, so I was watching something recently, and by recently I mean last night. um So I watched this movie called The Minority Report, and that stars Tom Cruise. That's why I mentioned him earlier. So basically, if you haven't seen The Minority Report, it's a 2002 film. I think it's a Steven Spielberg film. Scaramouche Girl, hi, welcome. So yeah, it's like if you haven't seen The Minority Report, basically how this world works is that 6 years prior, there was a lot of murder, and so they were like, okay, how do we stop murder? So they had these like three people that they refer to as like precognitives or precogs, and they're basically like psychics that see the future. But the thing is, it's like one girl and two twin guys, and their whole system relies on how accurate their predictions are. And so it's like, okay, I predict that this person will kill this other person, and it's your jobs to find these people, track them down, and arrest the guy before he commits murder, right? And there hasn't been a single murder in 6 years. And so, in the eyes of the public, they feel like this system works. However, I pose the question to you guys. Do you think that it's morally correct to arrest someone based on a thought crime, based on what they might do? Their whole thing is like relying on probability. It's like, okay, there's a 98.9% chance this man will kill his wife, right? But it's like, what about the other 0.02%? I can't do math. What about that other that small? That's what that minority report is. So there's like this conflict where it's like, okay, it turns out. Also, hi to all the newcomers. Hello. Thank you for coming. Coming. Thank you so much for the pen light. Yeah, it's like do you arrest someone based on the probability that they might commit a crime? And it's like if they have, it's like people are like, he almost murdered me, but they arrested him, so he didn't. And I have them to thank for that. And it's just kind of like, how would you know? You know, it's like there's a probability he would have killed you, but also there's a probability that he wouldn't have killed you. And that's where it kind of ties into the last movie that I watched, which was The Shawshank Redemption, which is about a guy who was wrongfully arrested because they thought that he was the one behind his wife and his wife's lover's murders. But it turns out he was he was just planning to murder them, and then he was like, okay, I'm getting drunk and I want to kill them, but I kind of changed my mind, so let me just like get rid of my gun. I changed my mind, right? So, but like, hi Black Gato. Yeah, yeah, Shawshank. I only saw it just over the weekend. But that's the thing. It's like you have Shawshank Redemption, where this guy, changes his mind about murdering. But it's like if that character was in the Minority Report world, he would have been arrested right then and there, right? That's the thing, he would have been arrested. And that's like and so now it's like a question of, okay, if you get rid of all the possible criminals, then no crime is going to happen. But it's also like, do we arrest people before they commit the crime? Like, that is such a strange concept. It's kind of it's one of those things where it's like, I'm sure we have some real world situations that are kind of like that. There's lots of people who've been wrongfully arrested, just based on like, oh, you're a threat to society. Like, okay, you can arrest me. Oh my god, cop Enaria. Hi Ferrix. Hi Daniel. Welcome back. Not a movie, but you ever heard of the web novel The Probability I Can Kill My Wife Without Being Found Out? No, I haven't. What's that about? But that sounds worded in Aria. Oh my gosh, it's like I was oh man, just thinking about that, I'm just like never mind. Hi Karma, hi Karma. Anyways, uh do you think you guys would do well in prison? I feel like I already can't do well in public. I don't think I can do well in prison. Like, it's just like I can't pee in public bathrooms because I'm too insecure about people hearing me pee. I don't think I can pee in front of a person, because that's what happens in prison. I say web novel, but it's a short story. It's pretty cute. Ah, Cop Nario, let's go. But yeah, no, I don't want to know. Yeah, no, don't. How do you think we guys feel? You guys pee in public all the time, like always, like behind a tree, against a wall, while drunk. I don't know. It's like, but like the urinal. Okay, so okay. I have a question about that. This was a very horrific thing that I heard just yesterday, because like this guy on Instagram Reels was like, okay, here's a hypothetical. Let's say you're let's say you're standing at a urinal, right? You were there first. A guy comes next to you, he pees, and as he's shaking off his pee pee, like a single droplet lands on your cheek. What do you do in that situation? Yeah, what yeah, first of all, the fact that he stood next to you when there were other urinals available, that's already weird. But like, how do you like react to someone, like, first of all, how is he shaking it so vigorously to the point where it actually lands on your cheek? Like, yeah, shitting in your, do people do that? Do people do that? That's a super flaccid dog. Yeah, I know. It's like no, it's that's not me asking that. That's something that the guy in the Instagram reel, that was him asking that to his audience. and he just kept saying like, okay, like it's like, it's not me, it was my friend, who told me this. But what do you do in that situation? Just a lot of people in the comments were basically saying like, how hard was he shaking it for it to even get there? Was your friend like 4'9"? Or it's like, a lot of people were just saying like, we're throwing hands at that point. Like, how did it get on his face? That's the thing. It's like he was just shaking so vigorously, apparently. Yeah, a friend. That was a friend of his. Yeah. um, I don't even know how I would react in that situation. Like, I think I'd be shocked firstly. I don't know if I would fist fight the guy, but I'm sure a lot of people would consider that like, a punchable offense, right? That's the thing. Yeah, get rebaptized. I think about it as the same as like when you get body checked, where it's just like, okay, okay, like whether you did or didn't do that on purpose, that was super rude, and I'm kind of pissed off now. Um, okay, bye, Daniel. You can leave. You fucking asshole, weirdo. Um, yeah, but anyways, so it's like, I don't know, that's just a kind of like a weird moral dilemma. It's like, do i do I throw hands, do I ignore it and just deal with the fact that someone did that? I mean, a lot of people get mad at something like stepping on your white shoes. It's like, okay, you son of a bitch, whether you did or didn't do that on purpose, I'm throwing hands right now. And so it's like, when you have those thoughts, whether you do or don't do that, right? Whether you do or don't punch a guy, should you be arrested for such a thing, right? Should you be arrested for thinking about punching a guy in the face? Should you be arrested for thinking about beating someone up? And that's the thing about like thought crimes. They shouldn't be something you should be arrested for. And that's why it is interesting because, oh, hi Jose. Hi Jose. It is interesting because a lot of people argue that, okay, let's say something like stalking. I watched this show based on a real life situation, by the guy who wrote the story and also who acted in the series. Baby Reindeer. It was about like his personal stalking story. Um, and so I like to think of it as like, okay, so a lot of the time, stalkers get away with things because they quote unquote haven't done anything yet. It hasn't escalated, it hasn't become a physical thing, right? Like, they can't arrest someone just because they send you a lot of DMs, just because they keep making new accounts just to message you, or something like, or some, I don't know, something to that effect, right? And so it's like, oh my god, the ads. Yeah, so it's kind of like, we want people to be arrested if they might have the chance of like, doing something to you, right? That's the thing. It's like, okay, so it's kind of like, okay, bye karma. It's kind of like, okay, I might be attacked by this person. I want to not be attacked by this person. I want them to arrest this person. But then what about like the minority report? It's like, is that, because here's the thing, it's like the main issue is that it's not a flawless system, right? There's always that small chance that someone might not do the thing that they might do. So it's like, is it morally correct to arrest these people before they commit the crime? Is because here's the thing, stalking, you could argue they've already committed many crimes up until that point. That's why you want something done about it, right? Just thinking about stalking someone isn't the same as actually stalking someone, right? Yeah, this BGM. Hi, Ichigo. Hello, hello. And so it's there are a lot of people who actually fight or attack people for stepping on their shoes or looking at them the wrong way. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, okay, I like. Why are you so purple? I know, right? It's one of those things where it's like, I have many dark thoughts. It sounds so fucking edgy, but like it's true though. It's like a lot of people are like that, where it's like, okay, I'm not gonna beat you up, but I do have thoughts about it, you know. And so it's like, what do you do when people think that it's correct to arrest you for having those thoughts? You know, it's like it's very strange, isn't it? Because it's like, yeah, on one hand, it's wrong to arrest someone before they do something, but then what do you do about something like stalking? Because like you could argue that the cops have the same thought process, where it's like it's wrong to arrest someone before they've actually attacked you. But it's like, I don't know, it's I think maybe like the correct thing to think about is like, you know, make sure that this person has no chance of attacking you, but don't necessarily arrest them before they've actually done that. So that's why we have, you know, that's why we have restraining orders. It's like, hey, if you get within 500 feet of me, you're getting arrested. You know, if it's something like an accidental run-in, that's one thing. But if it's like, oh, I meant to follow you to your house, that's definitely break. That's definitely like going against the restraining order. I'd be sent to prison super fast if thoughts were a crime. You know, for sure. I had because that's the thing. And he started to fly and do massive. Okay, you need to yeah, let's stay on topic, okay, Chico. um yeah, no, okay, so here's the thing. I had a very weird dream before I woke up, because that's the thing, that's why I overslept earlier, because I usually have dreams, but like when they're really weird dreams, I oversleep. And my dream was of a criminal sort, and it wasn't, I don't think I can talk about it, but it was a very weird dream. Stuff that probably would, you know, would please a therapist to talk about and analyze. But but it's like, if I had those thoughts, you know, it's like, should I be arrested for those thoughts, you know? And that's what I always tell you guys, you know, it's like, that's why I don't judge people for the type of hentai they watch. It's like, what you do in your private time is, you know, is like, you can't think illegally, right? Like, how would I have any proof of what you're thinking of, right? Because it's like, you could argue, it's like, is somebody who writes murder films and stories and such, like, do you, like, are they planning to be a murderer? Not really, you know? So it's like, because I would be arrested for a lot of stuff I consume, you know, if that were the case. And it's just kind of like, as I always tell you guys, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else, you know, do what you gotta do. You know, it's like, enjoy the weird hentai that you like. You know, it's like, do people, like, should people arrest you for tentacle porn? No. It's not a problem. Not the thoughts in general. Exactly. That's the thing that's interesting about the Minority Report, because it's like a, like I said, it's a probability thing. It's like, there's a likely chance this person might act on their thoughts, and that's why they arrest them before they actually commit the murder. But then the victims are like, oh, they saved me from getting murdered. And I'm just like, how would you know if you're arresting people before they do the thing? How would you know if they actually saved you or not, right? Hi, welcome. Freud is spinning in his grave. Yeah, absolutely. How'd you know it was Freudian? But no, it's like, speaking of Freud, that was very funny. My mom had a copy of like a Sigmund Freud book, and I read it out of boredom one day when I was like 15, and I was just kind of like, hmm, this doesn't seem at all like what was going on with Oedipus. If you've heard of the Oedipus complex, is that thing where it's like, people say that people with mommy issues want to actually like fuck their mom, and that's why they seek out partners that remind them of their mom. But here's the thing, the actual the actual Oedipus in the story, he didn't know that that was his mom. It was kind of like you know, it was like a thing that it was all a coincidence, and it was all like an accident, I guess. He had two kids with his mom, but he didn't know that that was his mom, because they were separated when he was still young, so they didn't know. um and he was raised as another king's son, so he just thought he was from a different kingdom. And so like the mom didn't know that either, and they had kids together. When they found out that they were actually mother and son, he gouged his own eyes out, I think. So it's like so yeah, he did not want to actually bang his mom on purpose. Classic Greek tragedy reveal. Yep, it's always about something about gay sex or incest. It's always those two. um, name this. Oh my god, you're so goofy. You're so goofy for that. But now, yo, it's like you're. I don't know. It's like uh, mm, I don't know. If because here's the thing. Okay, a lot of people get kind of confused about what Freud was trying to say about the Oedipus complex and the Electra complex. Because like somebody was roasting me the other day about having daddy issues, and I was just like, listen, it's not that I want to bang my dad. It's just kind of like, how do I explain this in a way that's not gonna make me sound really weird? I mean, I already sound kind of weird just for mentioning that. But like the thing is, SMH, freaking ads. Um, the thing with an Oedipus complex or an Electric complex is that when if you're raised by your parents, right? Technically, those people are the very first personal relationships you should have, right? So it's like, let's say a girl, her dad is like the first relationship that she has with a person of the opposite sex, right? So that's like the first man in her life, technically. So if she has a bad relationship with that guy, that will affect her psyche. So it's like, let's say like those dads that are never happy with their daughters, like they're always disappointed, they're never proud of them or something like that, right? So the girl now has like this weird internal struggle where she's constantly seeking validation. She's constantly trying to please men in her life, whether it's a teacher or a friend or a partner. She's constantly looking to make other guys happy because her dad was never happy with her. So that's her whole thing. With guys, it's like, okay, I love my mom so much that I want my future wife to be exactly like my mom, right? It's like they don't want to bang their mom, but they're like, my mom has these traits. Like, she's very kind, compassionate. She knows how to bake. She's good with kids. She always tells me that I can achieve my goals in life. And I've had that type of thing with some people before where it's like I remind them of their mom in some way, and I'm just like, for better or for worse, I've reminded people of their moms, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know how to feel about that. That's a lot of pressure on me, I guess. Like, um, so yeah, the music switch, I know, right? Yeah, and it's like, so it's not as simple as like wanting to commit incest. It's more of like emotional incest. And speaking of which, that leads into something like girl dads and boy moms. If you guys have ever heard of those phrases, so a boy mom is a mother that commits like emotional incest, where she basically has such a strong attachment to her son that she's kind of acting like a weird jealous girlfriend almost, where it's like she claims that she's her son's first love. She gets jealous of any woman that's dating her son because it's like, you're taking my little boy away from me. She doesn't necessarily need to want to bang her son, but it is kind of like a weird attachment thing. And it's just the same thing with overprotective dads who hate any guy that dates their daughter because they don't want to let go of their child. They're like, hey, this was my person. This is my kid. Like, they're not your girlfriend. They're my daughter. And so it becomes like this weird thing where it's just like an unhealthy attachment to like on either party. Yeah, overprotective parents. I definitely have that. It's like I was a daddy's girl when I was growing up, and then I felt so sad when I was like starting to lose that closeness with my dad, because in my eyes he was turning into like an asshole. But I guess maybe from my dad's perspective, it was that I was developing my own personality, and it didn't exactly line up with him. So that's why we started drifting apart. And so it's like, yeah, I do have daddy issues, but I also have mommy issues. It's like both my parents have like this weird tendency to kind of be way too overprotective, where it's like I'm a very sheltered person for a reason, you know. It's like I want to go out there and do things, but it's like my parents are constantly trying to shield me from the world. And that was something that I kind of yeah, that was something that I kind of heard from a friend, is that, you know, it's like whether it's my parents or like whoever else in this situation, it's kind of like you need to learn to let go, right? It's like, let's say those boyfriends or girlfriends that are always jealous of their partner's friends of the opposite sex or something like that, where it's like, let's say a girl, right? She's dating a guy, she doesn't want him to have any female friends, right? Or the guy is mad at any guy that talks to his girlfriend, whether it's platonic or not. And a lot of that is just kind of like, well, if you're so worried that they cheat on you, maybe don't date them. You know, it's like a relationship, whether it's familial, platonic, or romantic, you need to have some level of trust in that person that they're not going to hurt you. And if you feel like there's a very strong chance that they will betray your trust, then don't be with them, you know, cut ties. Like, it's not that difficult. Like, I've told people, it's like, hey, like, if you can't trust me, then what are we even doing here, you know? So it's kind of like, if a girl is constantly trying to break into her boyfriend's accounts, like social media accounts, or like always worried about any girl that talks to him and always thinking that he's gonna cheat on her, then maybe don't date him or date anybody for a while. Like, maybe go to therapy for your issues, because like, it's not like, I don't know, it's one of those things where you have to kind of let people make their mistakes, right? That's why there's some people, very well adjusted people, if they have a partner, they're like, okay, yeah, go hang out with your friends, I don't care if they're girls or not, you know. It's like they're basically letting them have the opportunity to cheat, but it's one of those things where you have to trust that your partner won't do that, right? So, because like you can't control other people that way. So hi Descun. So it's like, whether you're a parent, whether you're a partner or a friend, it's like, you know, you have to kind of trust the other person. And if you can't, then, you know, because a lot of people get mad at the person that their partner cheated with, right? But it's like they don't necessarily get mad at the partner for cheating. They always think of it as like, you tempted my boyfriend and now I hate you, you're a bitch. But it's like, your boyfriend's the one who cheated, girl, like, what are you talking about? So it's kind of one of those things like, hi to all the newcomers, hello, welcome. um so it's like, how do you resolve that issue, you know? It's like you have to let people make their own choices, whether it's for, you know, better, for better, for worse. They will do things, and you can't always have a say in that. So it's like you have to just, you know, it's like as they say, you know, it's like there are two things in life, you know. It's you either crank that soldier boy, or let soldier boy crank you, and you have to just respond accordingly. So it's like I had a cousin who had a girlfriend who checked up on him every 5 minutes. It was crazy how little she trusted him, how jealous she was. That's the thing. It's like, I don't care if that girlfriend was like cheated on in the past. She can't bring that emotional baggage into every new relationship she has, right? Because it's like, I knew somebody who was cheated on by every single person he's dated, and I just kept telling him, I was like, listen, if you're constantly worried that your partners are gonna cheat on you, sometimes you're kind of you're, you know, it's kind of like you're making them cheat on you by being this overly jealous partner that's punishing them for things they haven't done, right? And that's, again, it goes back into like that thing that I said about the Minority Report. Do you punish people for things that they might do or things that they haven't done, right? It's like because I mean, there's lots of people who would never cheat on their partner, but if they date a jealous enough person, they'll still be treated like a criminal, you know? And so, like, what do you do then? It's like, do you stay with that person or do you leave? how, like, there's only so many times you can reassure that you're not going to cheat on somebody, right? There's only so many times you could tell your parents that you're not going to do drugs or be lying in a ditch somewhere. It's like, it is kind of just like, you have to let people make their own mistakes, and if they betray your trust, then leave. It's like you're not tied down to these people. Even in a marriage, you can always just like live separately or divorce, right? A lot of people think that staying together for, let's say, like the kids is better than divorcing, but it's like you're just giving them a different type of trauma, because it's like a lot of people get traumatized from divorced parents, but a lot of people get traumatized from an abusive household where their parents are always fighting, so it's, you're giving them one trauma over the other. So it's like, it's better to just walk away. Trust people that they won't betray your trust, I guess. But if they do betray your trust, then just leave. Just leave. Oh my god. Then just leave. It's not the end of the world. I mean, to some people it does feel that way, but is it really better than the alternative, I suppose? Yeah. Yeah, so if you're dating somebody right now and they're constantly jealous of all your friends, or you're constantly jealous of all their friends, and like one of you is like always worried that the other's going to cheat, maybe think about that sort of thing. It's like you either have to decide whether you can salvage that relationship through like reassurance, or can you just like walk away? Like, should you just walk away at that point? You ever watch Marriage Story? No, I haven't. I know it's about like their I know who's in it. I know the memes, but I haven't actually watched it yet. Why? What's up with it? I'm in fear of dating because every relationship I've seen in my family has been a complete disaster. See, that's the thing. It's like I said, you let people make their own mistakes, right? So it's like a risk you're kind of willing to take. Like, for example, I took a risk being part of this agency. I took a risk becoming a VTuber. Um, but it is a risk that I was willing to take. Whether I pass or fail, that is really up to me. And it's like, I'll just accept things as they happen. So it's like getting into a relationship is kind of like that. It's like applying for a job, basically. You could either be jobless for the rest of your life, or you try out a job. Whether that job is like shitty or not, that's not really up to you, but you can leave if you need to, you know? Hopefully it's a good job, but you can't always guarantee that it will be a good job. So it's like, a lot of I you're not the only person that's like that. A lot of people see other people in toxic relationships, see other people that cheat, and they're just like, oh, this is why I don't date, or like, this is why I've never tried dating before, because it scares me. So it's like, it's like, be be aware of the risks, but you can take the risk if you want to. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, you're either gonna get traumatized or have the best relationship you've ever had in your whole life, and that's basically the risk that you just have to take when you get into a personal relationship like that. Oh gosh. Oh, that's good. Oh, your family, bro. Oh man, that seems like a just a bad situation, because it's like they're allowing the cheating to be a normalcy, right? Where it's like, oh, my family members cheat on their partners all the time, and they get cheated on all the time. So it's like, ugh, that's a bad normalcy to have. Use my observation of the relationships around me to form how well. See, that's the thing. It's like learn from other people's mistakes, right? Like, for example, recently a lot of people have been talking about video games and movies and stuff, and TV shows. So it's like with Concord, and with Assassin's Creed Shadows, and with what was the other thing, not Concord, Dustborn. A lot of people took a risk making those games, and it did not work out. So now everyone else is like, okay, they made a mistake, they fucked up. So let's learn from their mistakes and avoid doing that ourselves, right? So if you see people with with terrible relationships, instead of being afraid to date, maybe use that as a way to make sure that you don't have a shitty relationship like they do, you know? I used to have a friend that had a struggling relationship with her dad. She would contemplate about it, and one day she shared something concerning. I feel should have told it. Oh, okay. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's something that it's like a lot of people don't report that or don't talk about it to like the proper authorities or proper like professionals. But it is kind of just one of those things where it's like you could talk to an authority figure or whatever, but it's like how are you dealing with that personally, like how are you like resolving that in your head, right? Like I've had many traumas like many traumatic experiences, but I don't go to a therapist about it, but it's like I'm trying to deal with them every single day. A lot of people are like that, like they don't talk about all their issues, but it's just kind of like you could either just um, go to therapy or try to resolve it yourself, because a lot of people self medicate or get drunk or just sleep around or something, like they they have these vices to deal with their issues, but it's like are they really dealing with their issues or are they just distracting from the issues, right? And that's the thing, you need to actually just sit there and just think about stuff. And it's like it's yeah, because like I don't want to be like my parents, I don't want to be like other people where they just never try to resolve their issues and just think like, oh, I don't have any mental health problems, I don't have any issues, what do you mean PTSD, it's like to acknowledge that you have a problem is like step one, right? And then trying to resolve what the problem is, that's like a more difficult thing to achieve, but it is better than most people that just pretend like there's nothing wrong, right? When that happened, it later strained our relationship, friendship down the line, had to end it, unfortunately. Oh, I'm so sorry. Some people trauma dump to acquaintances because it's easier doing that with closer people. I do that a lot. So the thing with me was, okay, so I don't do that anymore. I do just do it with like people I trust nowadays. But it's like when I was a lot younger, I did trauma dump to strangers, usually on Omegle chat, like because it's one of those things where it's like if I talk about it to people that are close to me, it's like, how do I face them the next day at school? How do I have dinner next to them, knowing that they know what's wrong with me, right? And that's why, like, my IRL friends, I don't really talk to when it comes to like my issues. I talk to my online friends a lot more because the thing is, um, it's like my family, my IRL friends, they have an impression of me that I kind of I don't want to shatter their illusion, I don't want to like ruin their image of me, their impression of me. And so I end up like just kind of not telling them anything. And that's why I'm a lot closer. That's why a lot of people are a lot closer with their online friends, because all you really have to do with those people is talk to them. So how do you become friends, right? And it's by talking with IRL friends. Usually you just hang out with them a lot and then you're just like, well, I guess we're friends because we're in the same friend group, even though we don't know anything about each other than like the basic facts, right? And so that's how I feel a lot of the time, where it's like I'm a lot closer with online people than IRL people, because online people don't know me from like childhood. They don't have an impression of me from the past 5 years. So it's like I could shape my personality however I want. I can be as honest or as fake as I want to be. And I usually choose to be a lot more honest because there's like, I don't have a reputation with them yet. It's like I'm a brand new person to them. So I can say or do whatever I want. And I don't have to worry about like, oh, but that's like, that goes against what they thought of me like 10 years ago or something like that. Not having a reputation is kind of fun in that way. It's like it's the same reason why a lot of people try to reinvent themselves when they go to a new school, whether it's a new high school or like a new college or something, right? They reinvent themselves because the people there don't know them, so they can either come up with a new personality that isn't weighed down by like the past how many years, or like they can just be true to themselves, right? It's like if you were made fun of in high school for liking Star Wars. Maybe in college you could find a group of people that also like Star Wars, and you're not gonna get bullied for it. You know? Yeah, yeah, I do just kind of. Yeah, that's good. I just kind of like ignore those. um, like, yeah, passive aggressive comments of people or jokes about me and my siblings. No, she's actually upset and want. Yeah, see, that's the thing about like, oh hi Maria. Yeah, it's like yeah, so like the thing with people knowing you personally is not really, it doesn't really say much, you know. It's just like, okay, you knew that I, like, let's say I farted in class when I was like 6 years old. You know that, so that's always gonna be part of our lore together. But like these people who just met me, they don't know that, so I can be as cool and mysterious as I want. And that's why like people joke about it. It's like, oh man, it's like um I wanted to be cool and mysterious today, but instead I was annoying and autistic. Why did you fart in class? No, it was like, it was an example. It's an example. Uh, Same. Only recently, I have some in-person friends who I'll confide in. Most of my life, it was online folks. Yeah, same here. It's like the person that I went roller skating with over the weekend. That's like probably one of the first people that I've actually opened up to. Because here's the thing: this guy I've been friends with for like a few years now, but it's like, as I joke about it, is like I always say that he was kind of more like an NPC in the background of my life, because I just knew him as like one of my friends boyfriends. I never really talked to him much, so now that we're actually talking, I'm just like, oh, he's actually got a personality, he's actually kind of interesting. And so that's what I mean. It's like he isn't a friend that I just happen to be closer with now. He's more of an acquaintance that I just opened up to, and he's opened up to me too. It's like I'll ask him a question, he just immediately goes into trauma dump mode. I'm just like, I asked if you wanted a burger. I didn't ask for your life story. But that's the thing though. It's like because he's more of a stranger than a friend to me, it was a lot easier for me to open up to him than it is to open up to my friends in my friend group that I was a lot closer with. He leveled up, I know, right? But that's the thing. It's like it is easier to open up to people who don't have like a history with you. You know, it is kind of awkward when I'm like seen as like the mom friend of the group, and then I have to rely on them for emotional support, because it's like, how, like I don't want to ruin that image that they have of me, you know. So it's like I just trauma dump to people that don't know me like that. So yeah, it's like yeah, night Maria, bye. Yeah, no, so it's kind of a weird situation where it's like the people that just met you probably know you a lot more than the people that have known you for years, you know. And so that's why, I mean, a lot of people aren't super close with their family. For example, like you were literally born into a family, but like, do you know the first thing about your parents' childhood? You know, it's like, do you know about their hopes and dreams, like what they wanted to study in college, what their favorite movie is? Like, no, you don't really care, because they're just your parent. You know, like they just have to do their job as your parent. Like if you're the type of person that's really close with your parents to the point where you can have conversations like that, good for you. That's a really rare thing, and like you should be thankful for that. But like for me, it's kind of we're a very emotionally detached family. That's why I have like attachment issues with my friends, because like I grew up in a very it was like, it wasn't that it was boring. Like we did have moments where it's like we went to the beach a lot, we went to different beach resorts, we traveled together, we had like times where we spent together as a family, like a family. But it's like at the end of the day, it is like as soon as we go back home, it is kind of just like, you know, let's not talk until it's dinner time, or like let's not speak unless spoken to, kind of a situation. So having that kind of relationship with my family members, it makes sense that I would want to seek out deeper connections with people in my friend groups. But it's like I just don't know how to talk to people in person. That's the thing. I don't know how to strike up conversation. It's like a lot of the time I'm like, oh, do I say something? Do I just ignore it? Do I speak up? It's kind of like, let's say in a video game you have the choice between interacting with an npc and then just not interacting with that npc, right? So it's kind of like that for me. I'm sure it's like that for a lot of you guys, where it's like, yeah, I have abandonment issues too, where it's kind of just like, okay, I want to say something to this person, but maybe they don't want to be spoken to, so I'll just not say anything. A lot of people are like that when meeting new people in person or online. For me, a lot of it is an in-person thing, because online I'm a lot more sociable. In person, I'm always just kind of like, I want to say something, but will this person hate being spoken to? Because I know I kind of hate being spoken to by strangers sometimes, so I don't know if they're gonna be like that too, you know. I'm the quiet observer in my friend group while also being the dad of the group. You're the silent, stoic dad type. So what were the movies you saw recently? I saw Minority Report, and I was like talking to chat about how, is it morally correct to punish people for crimes that they haven't committed yet, just because there is a probability that they might commit the crime? Because that's what the Minority Report is. Because like it's all based off of probability and psychics, I guess, people who can see the future. But there are minority reports, which is when those psychics disagree, because it's like they like at least one of them saw a different future, right? So it's like, let's say, it's kind of like having different timelines. There's always that one timeline that's a little bit different from the other timelines. So that's like, what if we're in that timeline, right? We never really know. So that's what the minority report is. It's like, it's just based off that very small percent chance that they might not do what they're going to do. It's like, should we arrest people based on the majority report, right? Like, yeah, that's exactly right. I glue that's nice to see it again. It's okay. I went, don't worry. If you like jazz, we're very big fans. I know I've joked about that before, where it's like, you like jazz? That's how you make conversation with strangers. Hi, Legion. Nice to see you. My parents are similarly try to spoil. Oh, you were spoiled. Oh, that's the thing. I was also spoiled enough to my own devices. It's one of those things where it's like, the parents don't want to spend time with the kids, so they're just like, okay, I'm busy and working, or I'm tired from work, so I'm just gonna give my kid a bunch of toys so they can just entertain themselves. Hi. Yeah, we were about movie. Right now I'm talking about the Minority Report, because I just saw that last night, and basically it's like, because I was tying it to the Shawshank Redemption, because like that guy, they thought he did it, and he might have done it. That's the thing. He would have done it, but then he changed his mind. So it's like the Minority Report is based off of that small chance that he changes his mind. That's the thing. Because like he was very likely going to kill his wife and his wife's lover. So it's like, do we arrest people based on the small chance that they might do something wrong? I mean, that's why a lot of people are bigoted. They're always just like, oh man, like I don't want to trust this person, because there's a strong chance this guy in a turban might hijack the plane. It's like, that's kind of fucked up. It's like, so it is weird, because it's like, it's not a flawless system unless you have a 100% guarantee that this person is going to murder this other person. I feel like we shouldn't arrest people just based on the chance that they're gonna do something wrong. They haven't done it yet, so it's like, how are we as people supposed to like judge them for that? I finally got the name of the movie I saw 15 years ago. Oh, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna pass out soon. Okay, have a good night, Legion. Bye bye. People who send kids to school to use it as daycare more than education. I had that. Did you guys ever go to daycare? For me, it was like a cross between spending time at daycare and also spending time just dropped off at my relative's house. And that's why, like, it is interesting looking back on it. A lot of stuff that I know now, I was taught by my grandparents or my relatives, and not by my parents. It's like, like I think about it, I'm just like, my mom technically never really taught me how to prep vegetables, but my aunts did. You know, it's like my mom never really taught me how to wash rice, but my grandma did. You know, so I think about that sort of thing, and I'm just like, the only thing I can remember my mom really teaching me was how to use chopsticks and how to play chess. So kindergarten, oh yeah, no, kindergarten is like school for me. So it's like they taught us about colors and how to read and write and stuff. um and I just remember daycare was really fun because that was when I started getting into playing house with other people. um I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this because I know it's more of a girl thing than a guy thing, but maybe you guys have played this too. It's basically there are these like tiny little houses, and it comes with like a door, a window, maybe a place sink or something. And then like it was kind of fun just pretending to be neighbors with other kids. And so that led to me wanting stuff like a kitchen playset at some point, and I got that for Christmas. I was really happy, and I really like that kitchen playset. And it was those horror movie toy houses. No. That's a doll house. A playhouse is more like the thing that you can actually walk into. It's big enough for small children to play in. But a doll house is like you actually have like little toys. I saw the other kids do that. Yeah, yeah, very Fisher Price, Fisher Price type of play sets. Yeah, only had the after school daycare for a bit. Otherwise, it was grandparents, and I grew up with my two cousins for the most part. Ah, okay. Yeah, I see. It's like you think about the stuff that you know now. Like it's like who taught you how to eat with utensils? You know, who taught you about table manners? Who taught you how to speak, or like where were you watching TV for the first time? Who taught you how to read and write? You know, it's like you don't think about that, and I'm just like, oh yeah, it wasn't my mom who taught me these things. And then it was kind of sad. It was like my younger sister asked my mom one time because they were watching this thing with like a parent and a kid, and my sister asked my mom about any regrets she had like while raising us, and my mom said something that was kind of like heartbreaking. She said that she really regrets working so much when we were growing up because she missed a lot of our childhood, and that's why grandparents dote on their kids so much because not dote on their grandkids so much because when the kids were still kids, they were busy working. But now that they're retired, they have time to spend with children, but they don't have children of their own, so they dote on their grandkids. And if your grandparents are like that, that's probably why. So it's like I keep thinking about how like my mom's been trying to reconnect with us nowadays, where it's like she'll actually have conversations with us about stuff when she was younger or like our childhoods or something like that. And it is just kind of interesting now that we're older. We can understand the family tea. You know, we can now get in on it, and we're just like, oh, that's what happened years ago. So that's why this happened when we were kids. You know, like that kind of a thing. Table manners, does it taste good? Yeah, no, it's like thinking about how it was my grandfather who taught me about like no elbows on the table. And it was like my grandma who taught me eating every single grain of rice on my plate. You know, it's like never like leaving a bit of food on there. It's like that thing where a parent says something like, hey, you have to eat everything on your plate because there's children in Africa that don't have any food. You know, it's like you should count your blessings that we have food every day. And so it's kind of like I just realized that it wasn't my parents who taught me that; it was my grandparents that said that. But then again, it's like my grandparents lived through the war; they lived through like famine and like food shortage and stuff like that. You know, real question: who cares about the elbow thing nowadays? You triggered an unskippable cutscene. Okay, fun fact. Here's a historical thing about the elbows on the table, right? So back in the day, like think medieval kingdoms, think courtrooms, right? So you have like these long, long tables, like like the ones in The Witcher or like Game of Thrones. You have these really long dining tables, right? if you place so like in those tables, you're supposed to be seated next to a bunch of people, right, in a line, right? You're seated next to someone. If you put your elbows on the table, you're kind of implying that there's not enough food on the table to the point where you have space to do that. So you're basically saying like, oh, there's not enough food on the table, so people think of you as the rude one for pointing that out, and that's why that's considered a rude thing to do. But nowadays that's not really applicable, so it's just kind of like it's just reminiscent of the olden days when that was a traditional thing to think, but it doesn't really apply anymore, you know. Yeah, history with Enaria. Yeah, no, it's kind of like let's say something as simple as like, oh, hi Necro, nice to see you again. It's kind of like think of the something as simple as like a pinky promise, right? A pinky promise is done because back in the day, if you broke that promise, they cut off your pinky. Like that's how serious that promise should be kept. You know, it's like that's how much you should keep that. But people don't do that anymore. But they just keep doing pinky promises without knowing why they do pinky promises. You know, but it's just like you have like the context versus like the implication. The implication is that you really can't break this promise, right? So yeah, it's basically like a blood oath type of thing. So yeah, it's like the elbows on the table isn't really applicable by today's standards anymore because no one really cares. It's just something that people keep passing down through the generations, which I think is very interesting. I do think it's I do still believe in the whole don't chew with your mouth open and don't talk with your mouth full thing. I sometimes talked with my mouth full growing up, and each time I would choke on my food. So that's why you don't talk with your mouth full. I don't think of it as like being rude. I think of it as like it's a safety hazard, the choking hazard if you do that. It has eek the peanuts. Oh no. But yeah, it is just safety. Chewing with your mouth open, I thought was interesting that we care so much about that with westernized countries. But have you guys ever seen a Korean drama? And there's always scenes where they're talking with their mouth full or just chewing with their mouth open. And I'm like, oh, is it not a thing in Korea that's like considered rude? Like, do they just not care? Kind of like how slurping in other countries is rude, but in Japan, slurping your ramen noodles is telling the chef, "Oh, this tastes so good," right? And I think that's like kind of interesting what different countries historically consider rude and not rude, like when it comes to eating, you know. So like it is just interesting. Like I don't know, something as simple as eating with certain utensils or eating with your hands. Some people think it's barbaric, some people think it's weird to not eat something with your hands, you know, like whether it's like pizza, a burger, fufu. Um, even some, I think it was either Malaysians or Indonesians, they eat with their uh, right hand only, I think, and then they ignore their left hand because like some people say like they ignore the other hand because that's the hand that you use to wipe your butt or something like in the bathroom. So it would be rude to eat with your hands or with that hand specifically. I don't know. It's very interesting. See anyone eat a burger with a fork? I was eating a burger last night. No, it's like I was eating a burger and my friend told me that they eat burgers with a knife and a fork, and I'm just like, how do you even do that? Like, how do you listen, if I don't want to get grease on my hands and I can't wash my hands immediately, I will eat a pizza like in a restaurant or a bistro or something. I will eat a pizza with utensils. I will eat with a knife and a fork. At home, and I can easily wash my hands anytime I want, I will eat a pizza with my bare hands. I've never heard of someone eating a burger with like a knife and a fork. You know, it's like, how do you even do that? It just seems like you're causing more trouble for yourself. Kind of like those people in like Victorian times that eat grapes and bananas with utensils. It's like, yeah, sure, you're wearing gloves, you're in front of the Queen of England. Of course, you're not gonna be eating with your bare hands. I get that, but it's also like you can't really like. I mean, like, why do that? You know, why bother? It's like Only just can be seen rude in certain places. Yeah, I know. It's like they have different ways of doing that gesture too. Like flipping someone off is only rude in some countries. Other countries have a different gesture altogether. That's what the buns are for, right? It's like it's to protect your hands. But yeah, you use a napkin. I like to keep it in the wrapper for a reason. You've seen it before. It's Natsu Dragneel. Hello. Oh man, I remembered when Fairy Tale first aired on TV, and it was like the English dub, but like that was like the very first time I saw like an anime debut, and it was like the very first time I considered the English dub superior to the Japanese dub. Yeah, I haven't finished Fairy Tale at all. I kind of dropped it. It got repetitive for me, not gonna lie. So I just kind of felt like, I think I've seen enough. um, but yeah, no, it's like table manners are very arbitrary, but it's like there are moments where it's like, okay, you really should keep this in mind, just in case. It's like it's more of a consideration to other people. But it's like the thing that I've learned over the years is like good manners is making other people not feel embarrassed about their bad manners. That's why, like, for example, if you've ever seen like Downton Abbey or whatever, it's like it would be considered rude to yeah, if you've seen Bridgerton or Downton Abbey or something like that, if someone had bad table manners, you're kind of just supposed to ignore them and like not point it out. You're not supposed to yell at another guest and be like, hey, keep your elbows off the table, or like, hey, can you please chew with your mouth closed. You're just supposed to like kind of put up with it, and that would be your good manners, because it's not your job to humiliate another person, right? You're not their dad or anything. Even parents shouldn't do that in front of other people so much. It's like, if you're gonna scold someone, do it in private. You're not supposed to like reprimand your subordinate in front of your other employees. You're supposed to do that privately. You're not supposed to like scold your child in front of your guests or your other family members. You're supposed to do that in privately. So it's the same thing with someone being rude at a table. You kind of just have to put up with it and just ignore them as much as you can. Because if you start scolding someone to humiliate them in public, now you're the rude one, right? So that's why it's very, yeah, know other people's cultures when you travel. Absolutely. That's something a lot of people don't really think about. It's like, sure, you want to go to like this tourist spot or that tourist spot, but like if you don't know the culture, if you don't know even just the basics of greetings or language things, it's like, bring a guide with you, bring a travel guide or an actual tour guide. Learn a bit of the language, even if it's just like saying, I don't know how to speak the language, or like saying please, thank you, greetings. Know how to say, can you speak English? Learn how to say that in their language, at least. That's the bare minimum. You don't need to be fluent in Japanese to go to Japan, because they do have a lot of tourists, so they're gonna have a lot of like people who do speak English. But it's just like, at least just for the basics, because you can't assume every single person is gonna know how to speak English, right? It's more effective due to the shame effect. Oh God, yeah. But then everyone else is gonna hate you now, because they're just like, oh, I can't believe you just yelled at someone at a table. That's so weird. What do you think about managers sending an email to the whole group for one person making a mistake, basically letting them know, but trying to mask it by sending it to everyone? I feel like a lot of the time you could just have an actual conversation with the person and not just scolding them through an email. But if you want to make it okay, so let's say something like a faux pas, right? It's you guys, have you guys ever okay, okay, I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced this. So let's say you're taking an exam in class. The teacher walks past you or another student, checks their paper, and then just yells out to the entire class, guys, remember to read the instructions. Make sure to check the back of your paper. Something like that. That's what that seems like. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but for me, it's like it feels weird if you know that it's because of you that they're saying that. So if it's something important to say to the entire group, yeah, you have to kind of make it like a group thing rather than just like reprimanding someone privately. But if it's something like, hey, your grades have been slipping lately, is something going on at home, like that's something that you shouldn't like announce to everybody else, like, guys, if you're suffering at home, make sure to go to like a guidance counselor. um get taken back to the school. Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, no, it's like if you're, because I know you have employees, Iwin, so I know why you're saying that. But if it's something like a very specific fuck up by your employee, you could just have a private conversation with them. But if it's something that you think might happen again in the future by someone else, then you can send out an email to everybody being like, guys, just so we're clear, the you know the photocopy machine is not cheap, so it's like, don't be using it for personal means. Make sure to file a, make sure to send in a report or like a request if you want to use it for personal means. If it's something like that, then yeah, send it out. But if it's like a very very case by case type of a thing, then you can just talk to them privately. You don't need to send an email. Just be like, hey, please see me after class, or like, hey, see me in the office or in my office in 15 minutes. That way it's like, you're not humiliating them, but it's like, you're letting them know what's up instead of just ignoring the issue. When it happened on my family, everyone agreed. Oh, Jesus. My nephews love to make scenes in public because they don't get a toy. See, that's the thing. The parents should have raised your nephews in a way that they don't make a scene just because they don't get their way. That's how you raise like weird, annoying influencers. Yeah, see, it's one of those things where don't yell at the child to the point where they're crying, but like, make sure you have that kind of I mean, okay, think about how a teacher is, right? You don't want a teacher to scold a student for sleeping in class or for talking in class to the point where the student is crying, but make sure they're reprimanded even if it's in public. But like, if you're yelling at them, you're gonna look like an abusive person. You're gonna look like a terrible parent regardless of whether or not you're correcting your child. It's kind of like it's one of those things that I had to learn from watching Super Nanny, if you guys have seen that. And basically Super Nanny is like this British woman that gets called in to correct other people's misbehaving children, but a lot of the time she just teaches the parents how to raise their kids right. And that's how she does her job. And something that I picked up on was that if a child is too young to understand like a proper conversation with them, then they're too young to understand why you're hitting them for misbehaving. They don't even know that they're misbehaving, right? But if they're old enough to have a conversation with you, then just have a conversation. Tell them like, "Hey, honey, like, what did I say about yelling in public? Let's use our inside voices, okay? Don't be crying. Like, we can, if you remember what happened last time. You got your toy, but then you broke it immediately. So it's like, let's not cry just because, like, let's not make a scene. Let's use our big boy voices." Or something like that. I don't know. You can have a talk with your employee. You can have a talk with your student. You can have a talk with your child. You don't need to humiliate them in public because you're just gonna look like a bad guy. My sister's very strict with those kinds of things, but she's kind if they don't act up. That's the thing. It's like that's on her to that's on the parents to establish that relationship, because I know that, like, from growing up, I act differently depending on which household I'm in. Whether I'm back at home or with my dad's side of the family, with my mom's side of the family, there is a different vibe in each household. So it's like, it's up to them to establish what the environment is. And that's the thing, a lot of parents in Super Nanny episodes don't really get. It's like, how come my kids misbehave with me, but they're behaved at my parents' house? And it's because you didn't establish ground rules. It's because you don't establish that type of stable work environment or household environment. Mary Poppins. No, you want me to hit you. You want me to spank you. They act exactly the same everywhere. They enable each other. See, that's the thing. That's bad. You need to like, if a kid can behave at school and they don't behave at home, there is a reason for that. It's like, if they act differently in different environments, it's because you're setting up a different tone in each environment. Like, think about it. It's like the kids that are constantly fighting their siblings, constantly screaming at each other. Are they doing that with their classmates? Not really. Like, they're not doing that. They know how to act right when they're in the right type of environment. So it's like, you just need to like set some ground rules. And that's the thing a lot of people don't understand, especially these days, since gentle parenting is being misconstrued. A lot of people think, oh, I don't want to be seen as an abusive parent, so I'm just going to let my kid do whatever they want. Um, that's not what you're supposed to do. A lot of kids benefit more from structure. I know I'm kind of like that, where it's like, I don't want someone controlling me, but I want to know what the rules are so I'll know where the line is, like, it's kind of like, let's say, my upbringing. I was never allowed to leave the house without telling people about that, but it's like, let's say you never tell your kid not to leave the house, right? So they're like, oh, does that mean I can just walk outside whenever I want? But if you have a household where it's like the kid is never allowed outside, they're gonna feel stuffy. They're gonna feel very constrained, restrained. But if you tell your kid something like, hey, no going outside past 5 p.m., right? Or, like, don't go outside without telling me first. Don't go outside without your babysitter, something like that. You're at least giving them some leeway while still maintaining ground rules so that they know where the line is. Because, like, if you tell them, hey, you can't go outside past 5 p.m., like, yeah, some kids will try to leave like past 5 p.m., but if you tell them, hey, that's all I'm asking of you, because a lot of kids, if they're given very strict rules, they'll break even more rules, because they're just like, oh, you never let me do anything. That's why the Little Mermaid happened. That's why, Rapunzel from Tangled, that's why that happened, they broke the rules because they felt like the rules were being, were unfair, like they were too much. So if you give them a little bit of leeway, then they'll feel like you're letting them do things, you're letting them explore, make their own mistakes while still keeping them safe, right? That's the thing. So you have to do that with whether it's like your family, whether it's your children, your siblings, your employees, your students. You basically kind of have to give them room to grow, give them room to make mistakes, as long as they're still, within the means of like your rules, your boundaries, right? I think partners are like that too. I think, where it's like, you can hang out with your female friends but don't sleep with them, it's like like that should yeah, no, it's kind of like that. Hi, Winning. Hello, hello. The younger one gets violent with everyone equally, and the sister does slap him if it's unjustified. The older one just screams all the time and cries if he gets in an argument. See, it's like, okay. My coworker loves sending emails to everyone, but I prefer private conversation. Oh, do you guys have like a work group chat? Or is that just like just work emails? Do you guys have like a work group chat? So, anyways, in regards to that whole thing, Deskun, there are times where it's like I feel like a lot of children act out like that violently because the parents basically ignore them, right? It's like, okay, the parents, here's the thing, a lot of parents think, I provide for my children. I give them clothes, I feed them, I house them, I buy them all the toys that they want. Why are they still demanding of my time? Like, can't they just like mind their own business? Can't they just leave me alone? I'm tired from work, It's like, here's the thing, a lot of children aren't satisfied with just having toys, right? It's like they want that personal connection, that personal bond with their parents. And so a lot of parents ignoring their children will lead to the children having irrational outbursts. They'll have they're not like emotionally developed properly because all they really have are toys, and you can't have many emotional connections with toys, right? So it's like like I don't know if you've seen hi imaginary friend. I don't know if you've ever seen what do you call it? Jurassic World. They talked about how the only social interaction or any type of connection that like the Indominus Rex or whatever it's called, like that hybrid dinosaur. Um, the only interaction that thing has is with the crane that provides its food. So it's kind of like that. Like it needs to know how to socialize, basically. And so when your kids don't know how to act right because you don't talk to them enough, you don't like spend time with your kids, they are going to get irritable. They're going to pick fights with their siblings. Like I know my siblings and I fought a lot because one of us wanted to change the channel and the other one didn't want to do that. So we got possessive over our stuff. We got like, hey, this is my toy car. Why are you taking it? Like, you know, I don't want to share, you know, it's like, so, so like as a parent, you need to make sure that their emotional needs are met because they will become like irritable, like if they're neglected, like if they're emotionally neglected, that's what happens. Yeah, the good old days, yeah, fighting over the TV. Nowadays it's like kids just watch Netflix or just like watch on their phones, so it's not the same. Does spend a lot of time with them, but they've been like that since they were born. I still don't know how she manages with them. She's, I don't know, it's like what's the dad doing? um like does he spend time with the kids? Because it's a thing too, it's like how are they bonding with the kids? Because here's the thing, my favorite times during my favorite memories when I was a kid were all the times when my family and I would go to the beach together. But as soon as we come home, they kind of just drop us off at our relative's house and ignore us the rest of the week. You know, it's like I don't. And even here's the thing, my relatives also ignored us for the most part. They only talk to us if they need us to do chores. So basically, no matter what household we were in, unless we were hanging out with our cousins, we were always kind of just emotionally neglected. And that's why we got kind of materialistic. That's why, like, you know, people talk about how rich kids are sheltered and but like at the end of the day, it's like parents are replacing emotional needs with material needs. It's like, hey, I already feed you, I already buy you stuff. Why do you still need to talk to me? You know, like leave me alone. I don't want to spend time with my kid, so I'm just gonna give them a Game Boy. Like, but like the kid wants to spend time with you. You're their parent, you know. Now every kid has their own iPad, and that's why all these kids have weird social needs like being met through like it's like how are you gonna teach a kid how to socialize? How are you gonna fulfill a kid's needs if the only thing that's keeping them entertained is Coco Melon? You know, that's why like Gen Zers and Gen Alphas are kind of a certain way. I mean, there are always like spoiled kids in every generation, but especially with like iPad kids, like they don't know how to play nice with others. They have a weird attachment to social media because that's their only source of social interaction. They're not being paid attention to by their parents. They're not spending time with family. They don't know how to socialize properly. So they're just like, hey, I wanna play Coco. I wanna play Subway Surfers. I wanna watch Coco Melon. You know, don't take away my Game Boy. Don't take away my iPad. You know, it's all the same. If you leave a kid alone, they're gonna feel kind of weird. So they replace their emotional needs with that sort of thing. Kind of like it's kind of like, you know, how instead of dealing with someone's traumas, they just start drinking. You know, instead of going to therapy, it's like because the drinking is just a distraction, and just like how people aren't filling their children's emotional needs, they distract them with toys, and that's why the kids have a weird attachment to the toys. Just like how the that adult has a weird attachment to alcohol, right? They have a dependency because they're not fulfilled. That's basically how that works. This music's so goofy. Don't take away my Game Boy Color. Yeah. GBASP. Oh, okay. A Game Boy Advance. Yeah, no, it's like their attention spans it is messed up. That's why their video. Yeah, no, exactly. It's like You know that joke or that meme where it's like I'm using multiple screens at once because I can't have a single thought run through my head because I don't want to deal with my problems. I don't want to think about my issues, right? It's kind of the same thing. It's like you're not spending time with your kid, so you're keeping them entertained. You're distracting them, kind of like how people who don't want to talk to their I mean like people who okay, think of a dog, right? If you don't play with your dog, and if you don't provide that dog with toys, it's going to get bored. It's going to be neglected, right? And so it's like people think of children the same way, where it's like, okay, I don't have the time or the energy to hang out with my kid, so I'm going to distract them with a toy. I'm going to make them watch TV. I'm going to give them a cell phone, even though they're still in kindergarten. It's kind of like that. I unknowingly did that when I was, yeah, no, exactly. So it's kind of it's just one of those things where it's like a lot of people don't think about, because they think like, okay, I just need to worry about feeding my kid. I don't have time to make sure that I spend time with my kid. I feel like I'm doing my job as a parent. That's not all. It's like feeding your kid, giving your kid clothes, putting them through school. Those are all the basics. That's why I don't like it when people become parents out of boredom. It's like, if you're bored, get yourself a toy, like get a hamster or something, because that's a lot cheaper than having to pay for college, right? So a lot of people that just want kids just out of boredom, just to feel fulfilled in their life, don't actually take into account how much there is to do when it comes getting a boy toy, how much there is to do when it comes to raising kids. It's not as simple as making sure the bills are paid or feeding the kids. You also actually have to raise them. You have to teach them things. That's why I know how to do that, because I used to play Tamagotchis. I used to play with a Tamagotchi. So I know how difficult it is to raise something from early childhood to adulthood, making sure they get married off. So it's like, but here's the thing, it's like, even a Tamagotchi, all you're really doing is like feeding them and playing with them and whatnot. You're not like actually having to have a conversation with them. So it's like, even then, it's like a Tamagotchi is still very much like the basics of raising something. It's like now I have an addiction to V-pets. Yeah, it's like, oh, you know what? I went to a collectible store over the weekend, and I saw all these like figurines. Man, I was so tempted to buy like this Boa Hancock figurine. I was just like, oh man, it's so affordable, but I should save my money. um yeah, it's like, so it's like, but like while I was looking through the games for like Nintendo Switch and stuff like that, I saw that they had these like um version 1 Tamagotchis, and I was just like, oh shit, I really want a Tamagotchi now. Because like it's like, I know people have recreated the Tamagotchi game as a mobile app or as like a browser game. It's not the same. Like, as much as I like playing, like a Talking Tom or like My Boo or Poe, they're not as fun as pressing physical buttons and only having like an 8-bit black and white character on screen. It's just like, it's get it, then tweet your results. I'll be like, guys, the Tamagotchi died, so I'm starting over. I do like that though about I do like that about Tamagotchis. You're able to pause the game so that it doesn't die on you. Like, you don't have to turn it off, but you can pause it, which I do appreciate. Cause a lot of things, like for example Neopets, they're just starving to death, man. They're just starving to death on there. I want to go into Changi's and I don't know what that is, and buy toys from my childhood. Ah, okay. Yeah, no, it's like I get tempted. I'm just like, I know people don't like it anymore, but I kind of want to get the Wii. I want a Wii. A Digimon egg, bro. I had a Digivice when I was a kid. Yeah, it's like my older sister and I both had like the red and the blue Digivices, because it was because we were really into the what was that series, Digimon Frontier. So that was cool. Hey, want to get a kid? A lot of people are like that though. A lot of people, like, when they're like unfulfilled in their life, they're just like, well, I guess it's time to start a family. And I'm just like, just get a Tamagotchi, get a Digimon, get a play a Pokemon game, and then come to me again when you want to have a kid. You know, it's like, um, because even getting a dog is still a lot of work. So it's like, if you can't afford it, if you don't have the time for it, don't get a living creature. You know, have a V pet. um use things mark, yeah, no, it's like, Frontier is so good. I had such a crush on the girl when I was a kid. Not the girl herself, but like the Digimon that she turns into. I forget the name, but she was like a sexy lady. Play gotcha and said you go broke either way. Jesus. Yeah, it's like, yeah, raise a child through these simple means. You know, it's a lot cheaper and a lot easier than risking the mental state of an actual living creature, whether it's a kid or a person. You know, you don't actually want to damage anybody like that. So at least, here's the thing: if a Tamagotchi dies, you can just get a new one. It's kind of traumatic when you lose a kid or even a dog, you know. So it's like, just start over. You know, it's pretty easy. I might get a vasectomy soon. Oh God. I mean, to be fair, it is kind of lucky that getting a vasectomy is reversible. You can always just change your mind later. With women, getting your tubes tied or stuff like that, it does change you a little bit. Like, you know how, when you have like a very hyperactive or aggressive dog, you neuter them. That happens with women apparently. It's like, if you're like a very aggressive woman or like something like that, if you're kind of an energetic woman, if you get your if you have that happen to you, your personality changes. Or like, that's why menopausal women are so cranky. But getting your tubes tied also changes your personality a bit. But like, the thing with a vasectomy, you can always, it doesn't really affect your personality, but it is reversible, so it's not like an end all be all type of solution. So yeah, I had one reach 99 years, aka days. Yeah, I think I had one too. Like, getting those granny Tamagotchis are very interesting, because it's like, it's so weird seeing a V pet be like an elderly person. Like, it makes sense for something like The Sims, but not necessarily for a V pet. You know, can you imagine like a elderly Neopet? That would be weird. That's why I find, all those people who let their babies die. Like, why are you even parents? I know, right? It's just like, get a Tamagotchi. It's like, if you can't even, okay, so have you guys ever seen those parents who have kids that really really want a dog, and then they're just like, okay, but you have to promise to take care of it, and they're like, oh yeah, no, I'll take care of it, and then they don't, and so the parent has to take care of the dog. Get Instead of getting like a starter pet, like a goldfish or a hamster, which I think is kind of like, not gonna lie, it is kind of animal abuse if you get your kid that type of pet because they might kill a dog. You know, it's like, you're still risking the life of another animal. So it's like, instead of a starter pet that's an actual living creature, maybe start them off with like a Tamagotchi or a Neopet. See how responsible your kid is at remembering to feed the thing. If they can do that, maybe bump them up to a fish. If they can remember to feed the fish, bump them up to a hamster, and then so on and so on. You know, don't start off with a dog just because your kid really really wants a puppy and they promise to take care of it. You know, it's like you're playing with actual like lives here, even if they're animals. You know. Plus, it kind of breeds like a really weird mentality in your kid where it's like, oh, if I kill a dog, I'll just get a new one. You know, it's like, how is that gonna work with like children? I do make jokes about that with kids though. It's just like, it's like, all those parents that are like, if I'm at risk, or my baby's at risk, I would sacrifice my life for my baby. Like, I will die at childbirth just so my baby can live. And I'm just like, just get a new one, to try again. I don't know this kid, I only met him like a day ago. That sounds really bad, but yeah, like, if you're not sure about how responsible your kid is, give them a Tamagotchi. That's why in health class, right, you guys have that whole experiment with, in life, like health class, where it's like, you have the kids raising a bag of flour or like an egg, and they basically have to take care of it in a way that's like, hey, this bag of flour should never get destroyed, this egg should never get smushed. And it's like, it's not the same as a kid though. You don't have to feed the egg, you don't have to feed the bag of flour, you don't have to change their diapers. You just have to make sure they last through the week, and that's it. A Tamagotchi actually requires attention. It actually needs to be fed, it actually needs to be cleaned up after. Digimon, or when the dad says he doesn't want a dog, later uses him as a. Yeah, I know. It's like the dads are just like, I don't want a dog. I don't have to take care of him. They're like, they're man's best friend for a reason. They get attached. Like they're like, it's like, hey, you're growing on me. Spin the wheel of life. Oh God. But yeah, no, it's just kind of it's one of those things where it's like, you know, um, like when it comes to raising something, whether it's a pet or a child or even an employee, you kind of have to acknowledge that bad things will happen. How are you going to respond to those bad things, right? It's like your kid is going to fall down, your kid is going to get bullied, your kid is going to bully others, something like that. How are you going to correct them? Your employee's going to mess up. How are you going to correct them? Your dog's gonna mess up or like act out. How are you gonna correct that? It's like, so it's like, as a streamer, when I was trying to be an indie, I was basically my own parent, my own boss. So it's like I had to correct my own mistakes. But like, if you're working for an agency, it's kind of the same thing. You have to just let people make their own mistakes and learn from their mistakes. You can guide them, sure, but it's like at the end of the day, you can't control everybody under you, right? Whether you're a parent, a teacher, a coach, an employer, or something, you can't control people. They're gonna. That's what free will is about. Like you can give them a set of rules, you can give them ground rules or guidance, but at the end of the day, you have to just allow them to make their own mistakes and trust that they'll learn from the mistakes. If they can't, then maybe give them a little push in the right direction. But being controlling is pretty much the worst thing you can do, because then they're just gonna resent you for it. They should give Tamagotchi in high school to take care of as a parenting trial. I know, right? It's like, do we need these new bleachers, or can we give like the health class students a Tamagotchi? And it's kind of Enaria as a parent. Imagine. I remember like a couple of years ago, um, I had this like 14-year-old in my chat. He basically asked me if he was like asking me to go on call with him because he really needed help with his algebra homework. And like I spent the entire night making sure that he understood how to use PEMDAS, and also like an easy way to use PEMDAS. And he was just like, oh, this makes so much more sense to me. And like I felt very accomplished just being able to like teach someone how to do something. And seeing him answer all the questions the way that I was like teaching him, and he was like actually like getting the hang of it. I was very proud of him for that. Tutor Nari. Yeah, no, no, it's like I actually had to act as a tutor sometimes when I was in school, because I was like one of those top 10 in every class type of students. So my teachers would sometimes ask me to tutor my other classmates who were struggling a bit. And the thing that was annoying was like they really did not have any motivation to learn or to improve their grades whatsoever. If somebody wanted to learn, I'm happy to teach them. That's what I was always doing with my classmates, my friends in class. We would always kind of coach each other, and it was like a study group basically, and I was usually the one leading the study group. And we would like give I would give them pop quizzes and stuff like that, just being like, okay, what is the what year did World War I start, and what year did it end? It's like, when was D-Day, stuff like that. Like what started World War II, things like that, right? It's like giving them pop quizzes, like not only help them, but it also helped me study. It also like refreshed my memory. But I am used to being a tutor to a lot of people. It's very fulfilling, I guess. That's why, like, even as a senpai to my kohais, I do like giving them advice every now and then. Like I'm just like, hey, listen, kid, learn from my mistakes. Here's how you can improve your situation. Look, it's like learn what not to do and learn how to make the most out of your situation right now. Like that's the thing. It's like I made mistakes, so I'm teaching others not to make the same mistakes. So it's kind of, yeah. It's basically a class now. How to not get canceled week one. Exactly. I was telling them, I was like, okay, listen. First of all, I did a similar thing, but helping a Japanese Vtuber with their English learning friends, and I role play the scenarios. Teach Naria with Sensei Naria. Sensei Naria. No, it's like I remembered when I got reprimanded for that whole scandal of mine on Twitter months ago. I basically had a whole conversation with Manasan, and he was just like, "Oh, you didn't know that." You don't know what, like, do you know what this word means? And I was like, no, I've literally never heard of this word until like a couple months ago. So I didn't know what people were talking about, and I thought that's what that word meant. And I wasn't trying to be like, is this what this means? I was just kind of like, oh, imagine my surprise when I found out that that's not what it meant. So it was, yeah, I didn't know it, but like people were like getting so mad as if I was like making light of the situation. I was like, I wasn't. I was just implying that I was stupid, which is and then Manasan told me about the search, wait, what was that? Forgot what the word was, but basically it was like having to censor certain words so that it's not tied to your account or something. I forget, but now it's like people are able to like look up that word and it's like tied to my name now or something like that. And I'm just like, oh, that's not good. And so it's like obviously people learned from my mistakes, but it's like my but like Manasan wasn't too mad at me because it is like a cultural difference. Like I honestly was never taught that. Like this is gonna sound so bad, but it's like I've literally never heard of Palestine until that whole thing started. And I looked into it as much as I could, and there was just like I was like, oh, there's like a lot of historical beef that I didn't know. I'm kind of dumb in a lot of areas, mainly because I never encountered these things in school. So it's not that I'm dumb. I just was never taught this. It's like if you ask me anything about physics, I'll probably know what you're talking about. But if it's something about like world history and cultures and stuff, I have a lot to learn just because it was like my school's curriculum was kind of limited. Like we did, like there were so many things that we didn't cover just because we ran out of time. Like there were so many things going on that it was just like, okay, we don't have enough time in the school year to cover this, so we're not gonna learn this. Also, it's kind of like I don't expect everyone in the world to know about my country's history, so I'm not going to know about everyone else's histories either. And it's just kind of like one of those things where it's like just teaching people like, hey, if you're not sure about something, Google it. If you're not sure if you should use that word or not, or like say this certain thing on Twitter, ask the staff if it's okay. Yeah, the world is a big place. There's a lot of things that I'm learning, a lot of things other people are learning. So it's like as a streamer or as like just a person, I do try to give people some advice. It's up to them if they want to take it or not, but I like to give a bit of guidance. It does feel nice to teach people. I did have my own platoon when I was like doing ROTC. So that was cool. It was because I was watching wait, what was that movie that I watched recently? It was like a military movie. But I watched a military movie recently, and I just remembered thinking like, I like being called sir. Yeah, they would go like, sir, yes, sir, like to me, and I was just like, oh, this feels kind of nice. Like I always felt weird about being called miss or ma'am, but like I kind of like being called sir. It feels very powerful. I'm just Sir Nari. Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, yeah, you're my subordinates. um, I recently learned that Indonesian people use many no-no words because they don't have the context. Oh no, it's the same thing with my people. Actually, it's like we don't really. It's like here's the thing, right? That's why I feel very um like open-minded, but also like patient with certain people saying certain things, because it's like, okay, you never really learned this in school. It's like, how are you supposed to learn, like, oh, these are the slurs you can't say? You know, it's like especially if it's not your native tongue, right? It's like for example, a certain no word, a certain gamer word, right? A lot of people use when they're heated in like the Call of Duty lobbies. But in many countries that don't speak that language, don't speak English, they're gonna think that, oh, that's just a word to say to people when you're angry at them, you know? That's just a bad word. But it's like they understand that it's an insult, but they don't understand like the historical weight and context too much. Like they just think of it as like, oh, they're calling me that, so I'm gonna call them that. You know, it's like you're learning all the new slurs just from being around certain people. It's especially bad if you don't actually speak the language. You know, it's the same reason why, you know, English speakers learn the bad words first. When they're learning a new language, they want to learn the bad words first. They don't give a shit about the context. They don't give a shit about how bad this actually sounds. They just want to be able to say the bad words to other people, you know. So it's the same thing as that. So if somebody who clearly doesn't speak that language, like doesn't understand something like culturally or historically, you know, just that's why a lot of people say like hate don't, you know, like they say hate don't discriminate, but they also say like don't hate but educate, you know. So so it's like instead of like assuming the worst out of someone, it's like, you know, like give them a heads up. They're just like, hey, um you shouldn't say these types of things because this is how people see that in over here, you know. Because I got told by one of my friends who's a lot more knowledgeable about VTuber stuff, for example. It's like I remember like during my debut, somebody asked me about like who my prince was. And I assumed they were asking if I had a boyfriend or not, but I felt like, okay, that's a weird question to ask. So I'll just say like who my Kamiyoshi is. And so I said who it was. And then immediately after my debut stream, my friend DM'd me, was like, hey, actually, you probably shouldn't mention that because some people don't like hollow stars. And I was like, really? I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know people saw them a certain way. You know, it's like I just thought they're just the male department of Hololive, right? It's like that's I didn't think there was like a weird stigma or something about them. So I never saw it as like them like that. You know, I didn't think of it as like, you know, anything to do with unicorns or whatever. I didn't even know what a unicorn was. The Niji sisters. Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's like again, it's like just me not knowing the context. And so it's like, you know, I'm like, oh, okay, like that's something that I have to learn. Okay. But yeah, false flagging. Oh gosh. Mostly today, the early internet, you could say whatever. I know, right? It's like like I remembered I had a no word as a bad word when I was a teenager, because I was like, hey, no one knows that I'm using a naughty word for a password for all my social media accounts. And then now that word is like considered not a good word to use. I'm not gonna say which word it is, but it's not the word you're thinking of. It's a different word. But yeah, no, it was like I don't know. It's like that's why I'm always asking you guys like how like things are, because I'm a casual when it comes to VTubers. I watch clips. Sometimes I'll watch like a Zatsu every now and then, but I don't really go out of my way to watch every single stream of like these people that I enjoy watching. Sometimes like I just consume them through clips and compilations. I don't really care too much to follow people that much. It's like I like videos more than I like streams. And so it is interesting to see how other people view streams. That's why I ask you guys for advice a lot of the time, or ask you guys how you feel about VTubers, or how you feel about Twitch or YouTube, these things, you know, like recently I've started thinking like maybe I should just do YouTube instead of Twitch, because Twitch is being real stinky with VTubers with their I mean, if you guys don't know, it's like Shondo got banned again. And then not too long ago there was all that stuff with Taiga, and also like Hex Haywire lost his channel on YouTube. So it's just kind of like these platforms just don't like VTubers too much, and it's like, um it is one of those things where it's like I have to just risk it on whatever platform that I feel would work better for me. I feel like I could just try doing YouTube first, but I mean, I do like having the raid system on Twitch, so it's like, as soon as I'm done streaming, you guys can just go watch another Nexon or another streamer. I don't really know, so it's like, I don't know. I'm still weighing the odds. Manasan did advise me though. Yeah, Shondo keeps getting banned. It's just like, just another Tuesday for her. Yeah, hopefully that gets resolved because it is really unfair just to get bonked for no reason, right? So I remember I was talking to Manasan about like what platform I should be on because I do kind of want to utilize both depending on how I want to stream. And he says, Enaria, you need to learn the basics before trying to do like a bunch of complicated stuff. So it's like maybe look into how both streaming systems work. Maybe learn OBS, and I'm just like, okay. um he said something funny to me. He was like, you're still learning how to do 5 plus 5. I'm not going to teach you how to do calculus. So yeah, I'm gonna have to like do some research this week when I'm not streaming. Yeah. That's probably what I'm gonna do after I'm done streaming. I'm probably gonna like watch some YouTube videos and look into OBS. I have OBS already. So I'm just gonna have to experiment and stuff and just see like what I can do and what like my options are before actually deciding. YouTube does have raids, but only the from authorized people by you or them. Oh, okay. I see. I'll look into that. I didn't know YouTube had raids now. But yeah, the pendulum always swings one way or another. Yeah, it is just kind of like a coin toss. It's like, am I gonna get bonked or not? Who knows? Like, but yeah, no, it's like Anyway, speaking of which, I do actually have to go now. I have to cook food and also do some research. I like to listen to like my thank you so much for Iwin, by the way, for funding my Logitech headphones because I've been enjoying being able to walk around because usually I just like play my phone on loudspeaker so I could listen to a video while cooking, but now I can just like play a video on my PC while listening to it because usually I just listen to stuff in the background while doing other things. It's been really helpful while I'm walking around. So yeah, I can probably just listen to a tutorial video while cooking later. So yeah, I'm gonna have yeah food and research. Yep. Just don't use display capture. Yeah, I heard that if it's like a game, I have to use I have to like game capture or something like that. I don't know. I forgot. I tried OBS last year just to test things out, just to see if I could figure out how to do like the game capture, and I was able to do it. If I could do it then, I can do it again. I just have to figure shit out. Have you had a chance to look at the song? Yes, I have actually. It's really fun. It's so cute. Thank you. I yeah, make sure like yeah, like I need to like credit them if it's like yeah, it's a really good song. It's really cute. Thank you so much. It's like I don't know how long it took you guys to do it, but I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm just like I was just thinking about like, oh, how am I gonna utilize this? It would be good for like the loading screens, like especially for like Be Right Back. It'll just be like the background like elevator music while I need to go pee or something. I'll get you both their channels. One needs to get their stuff set. Okay, thank you. Anyways, thank you guys so much for coming to my stream. Thank you for just chatting with me. Again, it's like tomorrow's stream will be around the same time. It'll be 8 p.m. PST and 11 p.m. EST. I'll just be doing like a work along stream, so I'll be drawing the whole time. But like we can talk about the OBS stuff and like YouTube and Twitch and stuff because I do like having you guys help me out. It is like a huge help and it's just making things a lot easier for me. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. But until then, take care. Here's your kiss goodnight. Mwah. Here's your sloppy kiss goodnight. And yeah, I hope you guys sleep well tonight and have a good night. Bye. Oh, also thank you, Iwin, for restreaming again. Thank you. Bye bye.